Yeah, we'll have to see, but looks like we are jumping straight into the game. We've got MarineLorD on screen here in the north of the map, playing as the Malians. And on the south side of the map is going to be his opponent, Beastyqt on the Ottomans.
And right off the bat, starting out with those houses around the gold mine, not the pit mine yet, but the gold mine. So going pretty typical that we see. It's going to be grabbing those scouts, and yep, immediate pit mine being dropped out for MarineLorD.
Yeah, not too surprising based on what we've seen from the Malians so far, as they tend to like to go for the early pit mine, get that extra gold, and by the time you age up, that tends to have paid off already. But yeah, looks like Beastyqt not going to be going for anything too crazy. He's just going to be gathering his sheep, gathering his gold, trying to get the next age as fast as possible. Kind of what we've seen from the Ottomans every game so far. Is just trying to get to the next stage as fast as possible. Use that extra 50 starting stone to get a second town center pretty quickly, and then go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that we kind of haven't seen as much from some of these, or haven't talked about as much, is how close some of these straggler trees are to the town center now. That's one of the things I've noticed in the PUP update. Usually when you're chopping, your initial couple stragglers, they're much further out, but it's not as much of an investment here chopping those straggler trees. And we saw MarineLorD over getting that straggler tree earlier on before he dropped that lumber camp to get the gold income coming first.
Yeah, they are a little bit closer now. It's still not as efficient as using a lumber camp in terms of gather rate, but it does give you a little bit of flexibility if you want to delay that lumber camp a bit, as MarineLorD did to get that pit mine up a little bit earlier and get the houses going around it faster.
Yeah, it might not have as much of a profound effect on civilizations such as these, but for someone like the Delhi, who I think almost always chop a straggler tree, or sometimes some builds don't have it, but that might bring back some of that double straggler tree drop off builds again. So that's just a thing to think about. Another just little kind of small quality of life change that you might not realize at first, but it can really kind of help ease your build orders and make them a little bit friendlier.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, looks like we're going to be seeing the kind of what we've seen from Ottomans every time so far in these games today is, yeah, they've gone up as fast as possible, and they're going to be using the twin madrase to go up to the next age, which is going to give them that extra berry income for the rest of the game, and use that to support a couple of town centers.
Yeah, I almost kind of think about that madrasa as like, a double pastures almost, where you're like, pros love building that early pastures because there's nothing that is nicer than safe food under your town center. And that's exactly what that is on the opposite side now out of the Ottomans.
Yeah, absolutely. On the flip side, though, MarineLorD has gone for a full pit mine back at home. It looks like he fully surrounded that in houses with his mining camp as well, so he's going to be getting the maximum amount of income from that pit mine. And we'll have to see how he chooses to go for it, as Malians... We've seen Malians go for a town center, we've seen them go for cattle. They definitely have a lot of options in the early feudal age.
Yep. I mean, we've seen how obsessed Mista was with that cattle build, where we would typically see him have, double-digit cattle before he's hitting castle age, whereas some of the other players haven't opted for it quite as much. So we'll see what the opinion is of MarineLorD's side, if he is going to go heavy into that cattle or opt for a little bit more of the natural resources from food.
Yeah, it looks like 2 villagers going to be heading out to Stone from Beastie. That's not a lot of villagers on Stone just yet, actually. He's dropping a stable first. So, interestingly, he might actually be going for just a military school with this Stone rather than a TC right away. And he's going to try to apply some pressure with the Sipahi. And the nice thing about this against Malians is if Malians do go for a town center, which looks like MarineLorD is, that's not necessarily going to defend their pit mines, and that's something you could potentially siege down with the early Sipahi.
Yeah, and typically, secondary town centers always are dropped on food with other civilizations, but with the new ones, maybe not as much of a necessity, especially as far as the Malians go with all of the cattle you're able to do. So will he potentially drop that secondary town center next to the pit mines, as we saw from one of the games earlier on?
Yeah, that's definitely an option to keep it a little bit defended. Malians could just use cattle at home to get food rather than go out for the hunt as we would normally see with the second town center. But something I like from MarineLorD here, as our observer is kindly highlighting, is that he's used the second part of the Mansa Quarry to toggle it to collect stone for him instead of gold, which is going to mean he doesn't have to put as many villagers onto stone, and he's going to get that town center up just fine.
Yeah. It's and also reacted with the barracks coming out against the stables that had already finished it up, because we know how these pros are in their scouting. They have the correct reactions and will be able to immediately make the correct counter unit that counters out BC stables.
Yeah, and it looks like Beasty's actually just gone for one Sipahi here, maybe just apply a little bit of pressure, get a little bit of scouting. And then he's going to be going for a second town center himself. So we're going to see probably second TC from both players very shortly here.
Yep, MarineLorD, he has the stone to drop it. Will need a little bit more wood, and could even pull off of the stone with his villagers, as you mentioned, with the landmark able to produce the stone. He's starting to kind of create an extra sort of kind of income coming in.
Yeah, and it looks like MarineLorD's, he started adding cattle with this mill on the berry patch there, and he's now going to be building a town center somewhere. Looks like on the far hunt over there.
Yeah, he's got the villagers. He's got a small escort with 2 Donzo. So if there was anything too crazy out of BC, it could be a huge denial. But as we saw, there were only there was, what was it, 1 Sipahi coming out just to get a little bit of that idle time, get a little bit of a reaction from MarineLorD. Looks like stone per minute starting to drop as MarineLorD has pulled off of that, but I'm wondering if he is going to keep his landmark onto stone and potentially go for a 3rd town center.
Yeah, it's definitely an option, but he's got some military schools coming down for Beastyqt now. Yeah, I think you're right. I think MarineLorD is going to be going for a 3rd town center. With that stone production on the Mansa Quarry, but it's just going to come a little bit later into the game, and in the meantime, he's just going to train a couple more units. But yeah, pretty passive game for both players so far. Just a couple of units, and then into full greed.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to, I think, the first game between Mista and the Muslim. They each dropped 2 TCs, and then one of them dropped 3, and then it became, okay, let's hit Castle Age, and now let's throw off the gloves and let's start brawling. And so that's exactly what I'm going to expect out of this game. They're both going to have a significant eco build up once they decide to finally start creating units, finally start doing some attacking.
Yeah, a couple of Donso coming in here. They're maybe going to deny this tower. Beasty could try and finish it if he puts all the villagers on it and tries to micro the low HP vills back, but he's not paying attention. 1 vill's probably going to go down.
Oh, no.
Not quite.
It was all calculated from Beasty. He knew how low that vill was going to go. It was just
He's
all
not careful.
long con.
If he's not careful, yeah, he can... Oh, didn't throw the spear at the right target.
He did end up losing a villager, I believe, when he finished up that outpost.
Did, yeah.
But, when you have 2 TCs, it's not too big of a deal, except when your opponent potentially could be dropping a 3rd TC in just a second and has an additional full pit mine circled all the way in the northern side.
Yeah, if we're taking a look at the economies, we've got, 3rd TC going down for MarineLorD. And MarineLorD's also got some cattle out. He's got one full ranch with 3 cattle in it. He's got 2 pit mines. Beasty on their side, he has a couple more villagers, and he also has a couple of military schools out. But yeah, I'd have to give the edge in terms of economy just slightly to Malians. Actually, he hasn't quite finished that pit mine yet, though, and he's going to lose a vill here, potentially.
Has a couple Donzo able to just barely push back away that 1 Sipahi, but, how much damage is it really going to do? I don't think much, and that pit mine pit mine circle with all the houses should be finished up in just a little bit. The question is, does Beasty spot out the 3rd town center yet? And if he does, what's his reaction going to be? Is it going to be, obviously he's dropping castle in just the next 20 seconds or so, but is it going to be just a full-fledged, I'm going to go try to take down 1 or 2 of these TCs and build up my military since you're using more food on those villagers?
Yeah, he might not actually know that there's a third TC out yet, because you know if you scout the stone, a common thing to do is to click on the stone and see how much has been collected. But that doesn't actually tell you the full story when it comes to the Malians and the Manticore, because we saw MarineLorD using the stone from the Manticore to finish off the third TC, and so unless Beasty checked the Manticore, then he might not be aware that a third TC is even a possibility for Malians right now.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're playing against the Roos and they just traded 2 tickets and you're like, well, you know, I don't really know exactly what's going on, and all of a sudden you spot out a TC and you're like, oh no, how long has this been down? How many villagers behind am I? That could be Beasty's reaction, because with these pros, they're so calculated with all their moves. If, you know, if they scout out this, they know the reaction, but it's harder to know what reaction to have if you weren't able to scout that TC earlier on.
Yeah, exactly. And MarineLorD, sensing the age up, he's going to be pushing across the map here with a few units. Probably not going to do a whole lot of damage here with these units, but he's going to try and see if he can pick off a villager, make things a little bit uncomfortable for Beasty, and then back on out.
Yeah, you mentioned it in the Malayan Mirror matchup. You said, you know, once they hit castle, it's not like they unlock any super specialized unit or anything. They just have a lot of, you know, upgrades that they'll need. So MarineLorD can still keep producing like he is, still keep doing what he's doing, and then, you know, go to Castle Age as he's still producing to not be at a military deficit or not be at a map control deficit either.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not like you're going up to Castle Age and you're missing out on making, you know, man-at-arms, crossbows, and knights. You can make everything you need in the Feudal Age. It's just, yeah, you have to upgrade it when you get up. So, it gives you some flexibility with staying around in Feudal Age a little bit longer sometimes.
Yeah. And he's just now starting to create a little bit of a Vil count lead, but the big lead he has is the military count lead. Yes, it might not be as strong, but it still will do its job in forcing down, and you're going to need a lot of Castle Age units to end up fighting at this much of a deficit. Especially with the units that Beastyqt has out. He has a Sipahi, he has a couple of archers, and then he's got a heavier cavalry, but there is a Mangonel in queue, and that will do significant damage to the all-infantry army that MarineLorD has out.
Yeah, it's going to be a good answer to these javelin throwers for sure. Whether or not he has the units to protect it and push across the map with it, probably not, but yeah, he will at least be able to force these units away from the base.
Yeah, and MarineLorD, he's not too far away from being able to age up now. So even throughout all this, Beasty obviously hasn't been able to create too big of a Castle Age difference for himself, as MarineLorD's kind of just been sitting back and continuing to produce, continuing to let the game go, and try to find little pain points in Beasty's economy that he can poke and prod at. And I think I just heard Castle Age being dropped from MarineLorD. So what is his option that he is deciding to choose for his Castle Age landmark?
Different landmark today, or from what we've seen so far today, is the Grand Fulani Corral. And that's going to be buffing up all the nearby cattle, especially in those ranches, and that's going to be giving him a lot more food income. So he's just going complete greed. And this makes sense with the fact that the Farimba garrison is good, but it's not as good if you already have some military buildings up like MarineLorD has. Like, he's already got a couple of Raxes, he's already got a couple of archery ranges, so there's no need to invest into this landmark that gives you basically extra military buildings.
Yeah, and it's gonna make the transition away from the deer that he's been on for so long a little bit smoother for him, as both the secondary TCs he plays are on top of deer. We notice a couple of those heavier cavalry units are trying to do some raiding, and there hasn't been yet a reaction yet from MarineLorD other than just pushing into the base of Beastyqt.
Yeah, Beasty getting a couple of nice trades with the knights here. But not significant damage, that's for sure. But at least now he's spotted the third town center for MarineLorD, and he knows that he's probably pretty far behind in villagers at this point. So he's going to at least be aware of that. He's going to be able to use that information to try and do something about it.
Yeah, and you know, there's already going to be a ton of passive gold and food going to end up coming in from MarineLorD, and he's also going to transition that into just stacking it up even further with dropping a monastery to go ahead and pick up some relics here soon.
Yep, that's going to be a good play. You can't ever complain about getting a couple of extra gold coming in, and Beastyqt could potentially just turn around here on those Donso and try and clean up everything here, but looks like he's just going to go for the villagers instead. He's going to get 2 vills and then probably have to run away. He's actually going to go for 3, but he's probably going to lose 1 knight. Yeah, the Donso could finish it off if the focus fires. Not quite. Okay.
Not quite, and that's just where these pros at the high elo level, they're just so good at microing those high mobile units, and it's so hard to pick them off unless they really make a misclick and get out of position themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Beastie still keeping up in military for the time being, despite the economy deficit. I mean, we do have to keep in mind that, like, even though he's behind in villagers, he does have the military schools helping him out, though at the same time, MarineLorD has cattle, so hard to judge exactly what their economies are looking like at the moment, but a little bit of a fight here in the middle as the Mangonels take a shot, but don't find any targets, unfortunately.
And I think that's really the big difference here is Beastie has Siege. You know, we all heard the old nickname of EGCTV. Well, this is where it is. The Siege can really be game differentiators. Mangonels, they're gonna force the fight. If those Mangonels set up and start to fire, MarineLorD's gonna start faltering and falling behind in the military regards if he just keeps pushing back, and Beastie takes that map control back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And MarineLorD not quite running all the way back. He's unit stopping for a second there, and he's going to lose a few units as a result there. He's probably going to lose almost everything here as the Donso turn around to try and buy time for the Javelins to escape, but that's an expensive loss for him there.
Yeah, very, very expensive loss. He was ahead pretty significantly in the military regards, and now he's down 15. Yeah, he might have the eco lead. He might have a bunch of passive eco coming in as well. But Beastie, he's got military schools. He's got free military coming in.
Yeah, though he will probably have to back out on it here as the javelin throwers are going to do a great job of forcing those archers back. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, I mean, being a little bit behind in the economy at this stage of the game when you're already approaching arguably what your maximum economy should be, with 80 plus villagers already for Beastie, he's probably sitting in a pretty good position. He's got a couple of relics already. On the other side, MarineLorD is also starting to collect relics, but he's only got 1 at the moment, though he does have 1 behind his base that he's probably going to be able to grab pretty comfortably. And yeah, overall things are looking pretty equal at the moment.
Yeah, he's just, you know, it's MarineLorD starting to falter on the map control. It felt like he had the map control earlier on, but when Beastie kind of made this push back, he's starting to retake it. He's forced MarineLorD onto some siege, which is a significant investment if you think about Siege Workshop, and then to start producing the siege, and then have your Mangonel immediate...
Oh, the repair!
The repair coming through. So instead, Beastie transitions right back over to the Springle, which then gets mass repaired by MarineLorD again. Oh my god. This micro is just absolutely absurd looking at this.
Yeah, he's done a good job of keeping these siege weapons alive for now. That almost looked like he had Bonko repairs, the unique technology that Malians have at their town center that increases the repair speed by 100%. It does currently affect siege weapons as well, so yeah, he actually ended up taking a bad situation and turning it into a good one. No, he doesn't even have it yet. He could get that and make it even easier to repair those siege weapons.
That fight, though, that fight just went so far heavily in the favor of MarineLorD. I just don't even understand how, looking at the numbers ahead of time. He healed up the siege, and the Mangonels on the opposite side just free fired the whole time, and it looks like MarineLorD might pick up another Mangonel. Oh, healing coming down from Beastie this time. He says, all right, I've learned your trick. I see your tricks, and I can match you up on the other side, but needs to worry about the 2 Springles, needs to worry about MarineLorD's eco now that he has been able to kind of rematch up as far as the overall military count goes.
Yeah, and you know, these villagers, yeah, they're great to be there for the repair, but you know what else they're there for? They're there to build the keep. And he had more stone in the bank a moment ago, so I believe there is a keep actually going up in the middle of the map now. to support this push. Yes, there is. So that's going to at least secure this sacred site for the time being and make life a little bit easier for Beasty, as if MarineLorD wants to push, he's going to have to go around that keep.
Yeah, it forces the Trebs to come out. It forces a total transition from the siege onto like the full siege war that's going to be trebbing down the keep, starting to fire that down and get that going. But MarineLorD also, he's building up those stone walls, and I think that's is this the first full like stone walls we've seen of this of these civilizations so far? Because those are some pretty cool looking stone walls.
I think so, yeah. The Malians do have some pretty cool looking walls with the spikes sticking out of them.
Yep, but before they're built, a couple more heavy cavalry getting through, trying to kill down some more villagers, just create a little bit of annoyance, a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, Beasty just totally on top of making the best use of these knights possible, just running MarineLorD around, as MarineLorD really has a pretty slow army to try and catch these raids, and in the meantime that just buys Beasty so much time, even with the weaker military, to just continue fortifying these two sacred sites in the middle and the eastern parts of the map.
Yeah, and we actually see MarineLorD is pop capped right here. He is at his max population for the amount of houses he has built, which we always know, being the Malians, they can use some more houses around those pit mines if they're available.
Yeah, definitely he would love to be able to build more houses like around one of these gold mines in the future, but that's one of the trade-offs, is if you don't have enough map control, you're going to have to be building those houses back at home. Now, that being said, he does have 3 pit mines pretty safe, and that is the limit in the Castle Age, is 3 pit mines, so he would have had to build those at home anyway, but that poor trebuchet does get taken out by the knights, and yeah, I mean, the problem is Beasty's actually behind in military. If he's not careful, if there's another couple trebuchets coming out here, which there is in queue for MarineLorD right now, he could potentially break the middle of the map here, which could be a big problem for Beasty, but the economies are pretty close, so maybe he's just fine.
Yeah, I think we're not going to be too far away from Imperial Age for MarineLorD in just a little bit. Beastyqt looking to be a little bit further behind here, but won't be too far, as he can easily just pause some of the production. But Imperial Age won't be coming if we get... Oh my god, the mangonel shots! The heat-seeking mangonels, and Beastyqt moving up with the siege, continuing to fire down. Springles aren't able to turn and kill down the mangonels on the opposite side yet, and Beastyqt looking to trade down, continuing to move forward, has the keep to fall back on himself.
Yeah, MarineLorD does hold on. He traded better with the Springolds, even despite the fact that the meta was there, giving the additional attack speed to the siege weapons. And yeah, he keeps his siege alive, forces Beasty back, and now this trebuchet is just free to wail away on the keep until it falls over.
Yep, and more production coming down from MarineLorD behind this, as well as the Imperial Age. I don't even want to try to pronounce this. I already
Griat Bara.
There we go. I pronounced too many things wrong already, and so there we go. The Griat Bara is one of the landmarks we haven't seen yet today. You're able to spend 300 gold and choose one of 3 different... Is it a party? A festival. Festival is what it is. One of 3 different festivals.
That's right. Yeah, you have access to 3 festivals. You have the Food Festival, which increases your food gather rate for 30 seconds by 50%. Which can be super useful if you have as much food income as MarineLorD has, especially if you'd prefer to do that instead of use the market. There's also the Military Production Festivals, which you basically just train units really fast, of course. And the final one is the most interesting, is the Siege Festival. But before that, we've got a fight going on here, as Beasty catches the units out of position here, and the archers are just taking out the Donso, and just going straight in, actually, onto the javelin throwers now. This is going to be a nice cleanup for Beasty.
Yep, Beasty taking this fight too, right as MarineLorD hits Imperial Age, so the perfect timing. The heavy cavalry is able to just continue to push through, and it looked like all the Donzo just got cleared up, which just means those javelin throwers can do close to nothing against those, you know, cavalry from the opposite side, just trying to focus down archers or villagers on the side of Beastyqt.
Yeah, that's a really nice pickup for Beasty, and he's going to be able to actually secure the 3rd Sacred Site off the back of winning that fight. He's going to clean up this tower, probably send a monk over there, and then start securing it. But to back up to the Siege Festival for a moment, that's the final festival at the Griat Bara. Wait, you might lose more units.
I don't see many Donzo here to protect up those javelin throwers.
Yeah, it looks like there's just enough. He's going to be forced to retreat there.
Beastyqt, he has the resources to go up to Imperial Age now, still getting pretty close to max population. Has a Springald or two getting sniped down from the, I think I saw a Culverin on the opposite side from MarineLorD.
Yeah, he probably did, but yeah, before we get too bogged down in another fight, although there does seem to be another fight. Oh yeah, the Culverin gonna get a good shot on the siege here, picking off one Mangonel instantly. Gonna turn around, maybe get a Springald. Not quite able to get in range though.
Oh, he's trying to shoot. Did you see it? Just kept on rearing back, getting ready to shoot, and just kept falling,
Yeah.
but is able to find that Springald. Needs to watch out.
Yeah, the Culverin just trading super well here. 2 Springalds and 1 Mangonel, and pulling the builds immediately to repair it to make sure these knights don't take it out.
Yeah, villagers ready with their hammers. They're ready to be there and help out in any way possible. Raid coming in on one of those gold mines. Looks like some of those javelin throwers are getting a little too close to that keep that's there in the center. And Beasty finally hits that Imperial Age timing at 26 minutes and some change here.
Yeah, he's finally up to the next stage. He's going to be feeling a lot more comfortable with those once those upgrades come in. But MarineLorD's got a strong push behind this with the 2 Culverins and the 2 Trebuchets. He's looking to try and prevent the Sacred Site from going rid of Beasty, but this keep has gone up just in time.
Yeah, Roller Shutter Triggers comes out for Beasty and Great Bombard and Q, so EGCTV is about to be coming into full effect as he's going to have Springalds, he's going to have Mangonels, he's going to have Great Bombards, and all he's going to do is focus on protecting those up.
Yeah, also, like, starting to have some gold problems. He does have a lot of gold on the right of the map, though, still, but yeah, it might be getting caught out of position with this army right now. Not actually even paying attention, as a lot of the units are getting picked off here. Where's MarineLorD going?
I think he's going to throw away his army. I really don't know.
Honestly, maybe. I mean, maybe he needs more population space for siege.
That must be it. He says, all right, this is all just a ploy. I'm throwing away these units, and I'm going to replace them up in the center. He's got triple trebuchets. He's about to just kind of have that full head focus right down in the middle.
Yeah, and it's looking like this keep might be falling over pretty soon. I don't know if he's been using the Siege Festival or not, but I'm gonna try to explain what it is before we end up in yet another fight. But the Siege Festival, yeah, it's the last of the festivals at the Griat Bara, and it increases the siege damage on your units by 100%. That's both your siege weapons, if they do siege damage, because some of them do range damage, and also your torch attacks. So that can be a situationally very strong festival, and you have to watch out for it.
That just sounds like a landmark snipe waiting to happen.
It definitely can be, yeah.
It's like, oh no, I'm about to lose. Let me just mass make all the cavalry I can as fast as possible, use the siege festival, and just torch down those last landmarks. But more of that siege just trying to get focused down by MarineLorD, and MarineLorD seemingly being okay. He's got some Culverins ready to counter it out, and honestly, Beasty's starting to run lower on that gold count.
Yeah, he is starting to run out, but he still has the large gold mine on the right side of the map, as well as the small gold nearby, so he should be okay for a while, and it looks like we finally got the Great Bombards out here. Of course, they're going to be a little bit tricky. Ooh, nice pick with the Springalds, though, on the Culverins.
Roller Shutter Triggers is still an upgrade that should not go unnoticed, as the range of those Springalds, you basically are shooting from a screen off.
Yeah, and, sorry?
I was just going to say, all of a sudden, it seemed like MarineLorD's big backstop, his safety point, were those 3 Culverins, and now he doesn't really have anything to deal with the siege on the side of Beasty.
Yeah, he does have more Culverins in queue, so that is going to be the answer. It does take 3 Culverins to one-shot the Bombard. Maybe it only takes 2 shots if you have chemistry and your opponent doesn't take siege works, but once he gets out a few of those Culverins, he'll be feeling a little bit more comfortable for sure.
I think MarineLorD realizes the situation that Beasty's in as far as gold, and that might be why he decided to transition his focus over to the eastern side, as he won't be too far behind of having his gold problems himself. So if he can resecure Beasty's gold, as well as sending raids into some of this western side farms.
Yeah, MarineLorD just trying to poke at all sides of the map, try and feel out where the economy might be. And he's going to take out the keep and actually force Beasty off gold. There's no gold income for Beasty once these vills are off, I believe, aside from his relics.
Yeah, and it's weird that Beasty has that relic all the way in the south that he never decided to capture. It's now a 30-minute game. I'm not sure exactly when he hit Castle Age.
Must not have scouted that, right?
Maybe. I mean, that's my assumption. Oh, he scouted it.
He has. Interesting.
He just maybe it's just one of those oversights that he just kind of has forgotten about. But to each his own.
Yeah, there's just fights going on everywhere right now. MarineLorD doing a great job of cleaning up the east of the map here, but the Knights gonna get onto the trebuchets. They're only gonna get one, thankfully for MarineLorD. The Donso are there to defend, but yeah, Beasty's just having to defend in every location at the moment.
Yeah, it's, you know, MarineLorD is just anywhere and everywhere right now, and MarineLorD has those protective walls, whereas Beasty, he's relied on keeps, he's relied on outposts and structures like that to be his defensive point and reaction from there, which has worked a little bit, but it gets to a point where it's hard to have your hands all over the map, and that's what MarineLorD, he's just putting a couple units in and letting them raid over and over and over again.
Cannon emplacements are gonna absolutely destroy these archers. But, I mean, MarineLorD maybe not paying attention, sending his vills back to the gold mine already. It's not going to be for free.
It'll take some time. Those archers will all get taken down, but they can easily be replenished. Beasty, though, we talked about gold he's struggling with. He doesn't have the most food income right now either, and he's getting raided literally everywhere, it feels like.
Yeah, MarineLorD just putting on the pressure, really trying to control the gold mines as much as possible, I think is the name of the game. He's starting to gather the gold mines himself on the right side of the map. I imagine he'll probably start putting some defenses down there too to make it harder for Beasty to get onto them. And yeah, like look at Beasty's gold income and his gold stockpile. Like he's gonna have to come up with a solution to his gold problems soon, or he's gonna be in trouble.
And he's now trying to build those forward walls, but I think it's a little too late. His great bombers, they're helping.
Oh, he's not paying attention, and the culverins are going to take them out.
Oh! This is just what happens when there's damage coming down everywhere. You can't look and always be available at all spots, and that bomber moves forward and immediately gets one shot. The Donzo moving up. Donzo about to go take out those mangonels if they can, but actually they don't even need to. The culverins both just one shot.
Yeah, this is just really solid play from MarineLorD, just constant pressure everywhere at all times, and now he's cleaned up the bombards and the mangonels. He's gonna have an easier time pushing now for sure. So he's got 4 culverins on the field now. He's still got 2 trebuchets out as well, and yeah, that's just gonna be a resignation from Beastyqt.
Yeah, not only did he clear up a lot of that military, he cleared up quite a bit of economy behind that with all of the raids coming in and spread it all throughout the map. So really, really good job by MarineLorD. There looked like a few times where it was starting to be worrisome for him, but you know, was able to kind of hold on and show the strength of one of the new civilizations.
Yeah, Malians definitely looking pretty strong in the hands of MarineLorD, but we are going to be flipping this matchup for the next game, so it's going to be Beasty having his hands on Malians, while MarineLorD's going to take a try at the Ottomans.
Exactly. So if you think one civ might be favored compared to another, if you're one of those viewers out there that might say, "Oh, Ottomans, you know, they're not getting the love that they need to. They need some buffs." Well, let's see if MarineLorD has anything to say about that, being able to switch the civilization matchup.